Do you believe that miracles sometimes come disguised as heartbreak? That when one dream ends, it might just be the beginning of something far more beautiful? Emma lost everything: her fiancé, her dream of becoming a mother, and the life she thought she was meant to live. But when she boarded a bus to a place she'd never heard of, she had no idea a family was waiting for her, even if they didn't know it yet. Get ready for a love story built on courage, healing, and second chances, where the strongest families aren't born, but chosen with love. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments, do you believe in chosen families? Emma Collins adjusted her white gloves for the last time as she waited in the lawyer's office reception room. Through the polished glass windows, Boston stretched before her like a sea of opportunities that would never be hers again. 3 days had passed since Richard Pemberton, the man she had loved for 2 years, had ended their engagement with the coldness of a bank transaction. A woman who cannot bear children is not a complete wife, Emma. His words still echoed in her mind. My family expects heirs. The bank expects a proper banker's wife who can fulfill all her duties. She had stood there in his mahogany-paneled office, surrounded by diplomas and awards, feeling smaller with each calculated word. The diamond ring, a 2-carat symbol of what she thought was their future, had slipped from her trembling fingers onto his pristine desk with a small, final click. Now, as she signed the papers that would transfer her small inheritance from her aunt's estate, Emma felt the weight of her decision. She couldn't stay in Boston, couldn't face the pitying glances at the country club or the whispered conversations that would follow her wherever she went. The newspaper advertisement she'd circled that morning was folded in her purse. Seeking schoolteacher for rural Montana community. Remote location. Modest salary. Suitable for single woman. Remote sounded perfect. Remote meant no one would know her story. 600 miles away. Cole Harrison knelt beside his youngest daughter's bed, tucking the faded quilt around her small frame. At 4 years old, Lily was the spitting image of her mother, with the same honey-colored hair and bright blue eyes that had captured his heart 10 years ago. "Papa, when is Mama coming back?" Lily asked, her voice sleepy but hopeful. Cole's chest tightened. Sarah had been gone for 2 years now, taken by the influenza that had swept through their valley like a cruel wind. But Lily, so young when it happened, still asked the question that broke his heart anew each time. "Mama's in heaven, sweetheart. Remember? She's watching over us. But who's going to braid my hair for the school pictures?" Cole looked down at his calloused hands, hands that could mend a fence, deliver a calf, and hold a crying child, but couldn't manage the delicate work of braiding a little girl's hair. His 15-year-old daughter, Mary, did her best, but she was already carrying too much responsibility for someone her age. "We'll figure it out, little one." Down the hall, he could hear 12-year-old Jake helping 8-year-old Tommy with his arithmetic, while 10-year-old Beth was reading a story to 6-year-old Sam. His children had learned to be independent out of necessity, but Cole saw the weight they carried in their too serious eyes. As he made his way to the kitchen to prepare tomorrow's breakfast, Cole paused at the window overlooking the rolling hills of the Harrison Ranch. The moonlight cast silver shadows across the land his grandfather had claimed, the land where he'd brought Sarah as a bride, where they'd planned to raise their family in love and laughter. He hadn't meant to speak his prayer aloud, but the words came anyway. "Lord, I'm not asking for much. Just someone who could love them. Someone who could see past the mess and the chaos, and the fact that we're not perfect. Someone who could help me give them what they need." The wind rattled the windows, and Cole went back to his preparations, not knowing that his prayer was about to be answered in the most unexpected way. The Greyhound bus wheezed to a stop at the single bench that served as Copper Creek's bus station. Emma stepped down onto the dusty ground, her city shoes immediately collecting a fine layer of Montana dirt. The October air was crisp and clean, carrying the scent of hay and wood smoke that was foreign to her Boston-bred senses. Mrs. Henderson, the school board chairwoman, was waiting with a worn smile and a practical wool coat. "Miss Collins, I presume? Welcome to Copper Creek. I hope the journey wasn't too difficult." Emma managed a smile, though her heart was racing. "Not at all. Thank you for meeting me. The schoolhouse is just down the road, and your quarters are attached. It's modest, but it's clean and warm. You'll start Monday morning with 18 students, ages 6 through 14. As they walked through the small town, really just a main street with a general store, church, and handful of houses, Emma noticed the curious glances from the locals. She was clearly an outsider, with her tailored coat and matching handbag, her carefully styled hair and cultured accent. Most of the children come from the surrounding ranches, Mrs. Henderson explained. Good families, hard-working people. They don't have much, but they value education. The schoolhouse was a simple white building with large windows and a bell tower. Emma's living quarters were indeed modest, a small sitting room, bedroom, and kitchen, but they were clean and furnished with simple pieces that felt honest in their plainness. The Harrison children will be your biggest challenge, Mrs. Henderson said as she prepared to leave. 6 of them, ranging from 4 to 15. Their mother passed 2 years ago, and their father, well, he's a good man, but he's struggling. The children have been through 3 teachers in the past year. Emma's heart clenched. She knew something about struggle, about loss, about feeling incomplete. What happened to the other teachers? The youngest one, Lily, is spirited. She's been having difficulties adjusting to her mother's death, and she tends to act out in school. The previous teachers felt it was too disruptive. That night, as Emma unpacked her few belongings, she thought about the Harrison children. She understood what it meant to feel unwanted, to be seen as a problem to be solved rather than a person to be loved. Tomorrow, she would meet these children, and maybe, just maybe, they would need her as much as she needed them. Monday morning arrived with a crisp clarity that made Emma's breath visible in small puffs as she walked to the schoolhouse. She had spent the weekend preparing lessons and arranging the classroom, but nothing had prepared her for the sight of Cole Harrison's children walking up the dirt road. They moved like a small army, with 15-year-old Mary clearly in charge, her dark hair pulled back severely and her expression guarded. The boys, Jake, Tommy, and little Sam, walked in formation behind her, while 10-year-old Beth held the hand of the smallest one, Lily. But it was Lily who captured Emma's attention immediately. The 4-year-old had honey-colored hair that clearly hadn't been properly brushed, a dress that was clean but wrinkled, and eyes that held a defiance that seemed too old for her small face. "Good morning," Emma said warmly as they approached. "I'm Miss Collins, your new teacher." Mary stepped forward, her chin raised. "I'm Mary Harrison. These are my brothers and sisters. Pa said we're to behave ourselves and not cause trouble." "Well, I'm certainly not expecting trouble," Emma replied, noting how the older girl's shoulders seemed to carry the weight of the world. "I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you." The morning lessons went smoothly enough. Mary was clearly bright, perhaps even gifted, but held herself back as if afraid to shine too brightly. Jake was studious and earnest, while Tommy fidgeted but tried his best to pay attention. Beth was a dreamer, often staring out the window, and Sam was sweet and eager to please. But Lily was a different story entirely. The little girl refused to sit in her assigned seat, wandered around the classroom during lessons, and when Emma gently tried to redirect her, Lily looked her straight in the eye and said, "You're just going to leave like all the others." The words hit Emma like a physical blow. She knelt down to Lily's level, ignoring the stares of the other children. "What makes you think I'm going to leave?" she asked quietly. "Because grown-ups always leave," Lily said matter-of-factly. "Mama left. Mrs. Peterson left. Miss Walker left. And Pa said you probably will too, 'cause we're too much trouble." Emma felt tears prick her eyes. This beautiful, hurting child was speaking truths that cut to the bone. "Well," she said softly, "I suppose you'll just have to wait and see, won't you?" Emma was cleaning the blackboard after the children had gone home when she heard boots on the wooden steps. She turned to see a tall man filling the doorway, his hat in his hands and concern etched in the lines around his eyes. Cole Harrison was not what she had expected. The other teachers had described him as a simple rancher, but there was an intelligence in his gaze and a gentleness in his manner that spoke of depths she hadn't anticipated. His dark hair was slightly mussed from his hat, and his clothes were clean but worn from honest work. "Miss Collins, I'm Cole Harrison. I came to apologize for Lily's behavior today." Emma set down her eraser and smoothed her skirt. Mr. Harrison, there's no need to apologize. Lily's just processing some big emotions. That's a kind way to put it, Cole said, stepping into the classroom. But I know she was disruptive. Mary told me what happened. Mary seems to feel very responsible for her siblings. Cole's expression grew pained. Too responsible. She's 15, but she's been trying to be their mother since Sarah died. It's not fair to her. Emma found herself drawn to this man's obvious love for his children and his struggle to do right by them. Loss affects everyone differently, Mr. Harrison, and children sometimes act out when they're afraid of losing someone else. Is that your professional opinion, Miss Collins? It's my human opinion, Emma said quietly. I understand something about loss. Cole studied her face, noting the sadness that flickered in her eyes. The other teachers, they said Lily was too difficult, that she needed discipline, not understanding. Well, I'm not the other teachers. Something in her tone made Cole look at her more carefully. There was a strength in this elegant woman, a determination that hadn't been broken despite whatever had brought her to their small town. Miss Collins, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Emma nodded, bracing herself. Are you planning to stay? Because if you're not, if this is just a temporary stop for you, I need to know now. My children, they can't handle losing another person they might start to care about. Emma looked around the simple classroom, at the children's drawings already decorating the walls, at the small desk where Lily had finally sat for the last hour of the day. Mr. Harrison, I came here because I needed a place to start over. I can't promise that life won't bring changes, but I can promise that I'm not leaving because your children are too much trouble. If anything, I think they're exactly what I need. Cole's expression softened. What do you need, Miss Collins? A purpose, Emma said simply. Something to remind me that I have value, even if I can't. She stopped herself, not ready to share her deeper pain with this man she'd just met. Even if you can't what? Emma shook her head. It's not important. What's important is that your children get the education and care they deserve. Cole put his hat back on, but his eyes never left her face. Miss Collins, would you consider joining us for Sunday dinner? The children would like to get to know you better, and I'd like to hear more about your plans for the school. Emma felt a flutter of something she hadn't experienced in months. Hope. I'd like that very much, Mr. Harrison. The Harrison Ranch house was larger than Emma had expected, a sprawling structure that had clearly been built with a growing family in mind. The wide porch was lined with rocking chairs, and the yard was filled with the organized chaos of children's lives, a rope swing, a vegetable garden, and a dog that bounded up to greet her with enthusiastic tail wags. That's Rex, Cole said, appearing from the barn. He's harmless, but he thinks everyone who visits is here specifically to pet him. Emma laughed, the sound surprising her. She hadn't laughed in months. I think I can manage that. The inside of the house was warm and lived in, with comfortable furniture and family photographs covering every surface. Emma's eyes were drawn to a portrait on the mantel, a beautiful woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile, surrounded by the Harrison children when they were younger. That's Sarah, Cole said quietly, following her gaze. She would have liked you. She was beautiful. She was everything, Cole said simply. I'm still learning how to be everything to them without her. Mary appeared in the doorway, wearing an apron that was too big for a slim frame. Dinner's ready, Pa. The dining room table was set for 8, with Emma's place clearly marked by the careful arrangement of the good china. The children filed in, scrubbed clean and dressed in their Sunday best, with Lily bringing up the rear in a dress that was clearly Mary's handiwork. Miss Collins, Mary said formally, would you like to say grace? Emma blinked, surprised by the request. Aye, of course. As they joined hands around the table, Emma felt the calluses on Cole's palm and the small, soft hand of Lily beside her. The words came naturally. Dear Lord, thank you for this food, this family, and this warm welcome. Help us to be grateful for the blessings we have, and to be kind to one another. Amen. Amen, the children chorused, and then the formal atmosphere dissolved into the comfortable chaos of a family meal. Jake told Emma about his plans to expand the ranch when he was older, while Tommy demonstrated his ability to balance a spoon on his nose. Beth shyly shared her drawings, and Sam peppered her with questions about Boston and whether she'd ever seen the ocean. But it was Lily who surprised her the most. The little girl, who had been so defiant in school, climbed onto Emma's lap halfway through the meal and announced, "You smell like flowers." "Thank you," Emma said, adjusting her arms to accommodate the small body. "You smell like sunshine." Lily giggled, and Emma felt something in her chest loosen. This was what she had been missing. Not just the ability to have children, but the opportunity to love them, to be part of their daily joys and struggles. After dinner, Cole walked her to the porch while the children cleaned up inside. The sun was setting behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink that Boston had never offered. "Thank you for today," Emma said. "Your children are wonderful." "They like you," Cole said. "That's unusual. They've been pretty protective of their hearts since Sarah died." Emma watched through the window as Mary directed the cleanup with the efficiency of someone twice her age. "They're lucky to have each other. And you. Some days I wonder if I'm enough for them." "Mr. Harrison, can I ask you something?" Cole nodded. "What do you see when you look at your children?" "I see 6 miracles," he said without hesitation. 6 reasons to keep going. 6 people who deserve better than I sometimes feel I can give them." Emma smiled. "That's exactly what they need to hear." "What do you mean?" "They need to know they're not a burden. They need to know they're loved for who they are, not for how easy they make your life." Cole studied her face in the fading light. "You sound like you speak from experience." Emma's smile faded. "I was recently told that I was incomplete, that I couldn't fulfill my purpose as a woman because I couldn't have children. It made me question my worth." "What kind of fool would tell you that?" The vehemence in his voice surprised her. "Someone who saw me as a means to an end rather than a person with value." "Miss Collins, Emma, can I tell you something?" She nodded, her heart racing at the sound of her first name on his lips. "I've watched you with my children this week. I've seen how you looked at Lily when she was acting out, how you encouraged Mary to answer the difficult questions, how you made Tommy feel smart for knowing about the Civil War. You have a gift for loving people exactly as they are. That's not incomplete. That's miraculous." Emma felt tears threatening. "Mr. Harrison." "Cole. And I mean every word." 3 weeks later, Emma was grading papers by lamplight when she heard a soft knock at her door. She opened it to find Lily on her doorstep, tears streaming down her face and her nightgown muddy from the walk from the ranch. "Lily. Sweetheart, what's wrong?" The little girl threw herself into Emma's arms. "I had the bad dream again, and Mary was sleeping, and Pa was with the sick cow, and I didn't know what to do." Emma pulled the child inside and wrapped her in a warm blanket. "What kind of bad dream?" "The one where everyone leaves me, where I wake up and the house is empty and I'm all alone." Emma's heart broke for this little girl who had already lost so much. "Oh, honey, that must be so scary. Are you going to leave me too?" Emma knelt down to Lily's level. "Lily, can I tell you a secret?" The little girl nodded solemnly. "I came to Copper Creek because I was scared too. I was scared that nobody would want me, that I wasn't good enough, that I would always be alone. But you're a grown-up. Grown-ups don't get scared." "Oh, we do. We get very scared sometimes. But you know what I learned?" "What?" "Sometimes the people who need us most are the ones who help us feel brave." Lily considered this seriously. "Do we help you feel brave?" "Every single day," Emma said honestly. "You and your brothers and sisters and your papa. You make me feel like I belong somewhere." "Can I stay with you tonight? Just until the scary goes away." Emma looked out at the dark road leading to the Harrison Ranch. She should walk Lily home, should wake Cole, and let him handle this. But the little girl's arms were wrapped around her neck, and she was already getting sleepy against her shoulder. "Of course you can stay." Cole woke to find Lily's bed empty, and panic immediately set in. He roused the other children, and they searched the house and the immediate grounds before Jake suggested checking the schoolhouse. The sight that greeted him through Emma's window stopped him in his tracks. She was sitting in her rocking chair, still in her nightgown and robe, with Lily curled up in her lap. Both were fast asleep, and Emma's arms were wrapped protectively around his youngest daughter. Something shifted in his chest, something that had been frozen since Sarah's death began to thaw. He knocked gently, and Emma stirred, her eyes immediately going to Lily to make sure she was all right. "I'm sorry," she whispered as she opened the door. "She had a nightmare and she was so scared. I should have brought her home, but you did exactly what she needed," Cole said quietly. "Thank you." Emma looked down at Lily, who was starting to wake up. She's been having dreams about being abandoned. She's so afraid of losing the people she loves. "I know. She's been having them since Sarah died, but they've been getting worse lately." "Maybe because she's starting to care about new people," Emma suggested. "Sometimes when we let ourselves love again, it makes us remember what we've lost." Cole met her eyes. "Is that what's happening to you too?" Emma's breath caught. What do you mean?" "I mean that maybe you're starting to care about us, and it's making you remember what you've lost." Before Emma could answer, Lily stirred, completely awake, and looked between the two adults. "Papa, I had the bad dream, but Miss Emma made it better. She said we make her feel brave." Cole smiled at his daughter, but his eyes remained on Emma. "Is that so?" "It's true," Emma said softly. "You all do." As November settled over Copper Creek, Emma found herself becoming more and more entangled in the Harrison family's daily life. She helped Mary with college preparation, worked with Jake on his reading, and spent countless hours with Lily, who had taken to stopping by the schoolhouse every afternoon before going home. It was during one of these afternoon visits that Lily asked the question that changed everything. "Miss Emma, why don't you have babies?" Emma nearly dropped the paper she was grading. "What made you think about that, sweetheart?" "Well, Mrs. Henderson said that ladies your age usually have babies, and you love children so much. So why don't you have any?" Emma set down her papers and pulled Lily onto her lap. "Sometimes, honey, people's bodies don't work the way we expect them to. My body can't make babies." "Does that make you sad?" "Sometimes it does." "Is that why you came here? Because you were sad?" Emma nodded, surprised by the child's perceptiveness. "Partly yes." Lily was quiet for a moment, then said, "Well, I think it's good that you can't make babies." "Why is that?" "Because then you came here to love us instead, and we needed you more than those other babies did." Emma felt tears spring to her eyes. "Lily, that's a beautiful way to think about it." "It's true. God knew we needed you, so he made sure you would come to us." That evening, Emma walked to the Harrison ranch with Lily's words echoing in her mind. She found Cole in the barn, tending to a mare that was about to foal. "How's she doing?" Emma asked, settling onto a hay bale. "Should be any time now," Cole said, his voice gentle with the animal. "This is her first foal, so she's nervous." "I can relate to that feeling." Cole looked at her carefully. "What's on your mind, Emma?" She told him about her conversation with Lily, about the child's innocent wisdom and her own growing realization that maybe her infertility wasn't the end of her story, but the beginning. "Cole, can I ask you something personal?" "Of course. When Sarah died, did you think you'd ever love again?" Cole's hand stilled on the mare's neck. "I was sure I wouldn't. I was sure I couldn't." "What changed?" He turned to face her fully. "You did." Emma's heart stopped. "Cole, I'm not asking you for anything, Emma. I'm just being honest. You came into our lives like an answer to a prayer I was afraid to pray. You love my children like they're your own. You've given Mary permission to be young again, helped Jake find his confidence, made Tommy feel smart, encouraged Beth's dreams, shown Sam what gentleness looks like, and given Lily the security she's been craving." "They've given me purpose," Emma whispered. "You've given us hope," Cole replied. "You've shown us that families can be built with love, not just biology." The mare chose that moment to begin her labor, and they both turned their attention to the miracle happening before them. As the foal entered the world, wet and shaky but alive, Emma felt something shift inside her own heart. "Cole," she said as they watched the baby horse struggle to its feet. "I think I'm falling in love with you." He turned to her, his eyes bright with unshed tears. "Emma, I've been in love with you since the day you knelt down to Lily's level and treated her like a person worth listening to." Christmas Eve arrived with a blanket of snow that transformed the Harrison Ranch into a winter wonderland. Emma had been invited to spend the holiday with the family, and she'd spent weeks secretly preparing gifts for each of the children. The evening was perfect, a tree decorated with handmade ornaments, a feast prepared by Mary and Emma working together, and children's laughter filling every corner of the house. But Emma noticed that Cole seemed nervous, distracted. After the children had gone to bed, Cole asked Emma to step outside with him. "It's beautiful," she said, looking up at the star-filled sky. "Sarah would have loved this." "Emma, there's something I need to tell you about Sarah." Emma's heart clenched. "What is it?" "Before she died, she made me promise her something. She said that if I ever found someone who could love our children the way she did, I shouldn't let my grief stop me from loving again." Emma turned to face him. "Cole, she said that the greatest gift I could give our children would be to show them that love doesn't end with death, it multiplies." Cole reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. This was Sarah's ring, but she gave it to me for whoever came after her. She said that any woman who could love our children was worthy of the Harrison name. Emma's hands flew to her mouth. "Cole, I can't take Sarah's ring." "You're not taking it, you're accepting it. There's a difference." He knelt down in the snow, and Emma felt her world shift on its axis. "Emma Collins, you came to us broken and afraid, and instead of finding a place to hide, you found a place to bloom. You've shown my children that they're worth loving, worth staying for, worth fighting for. You've shown me that my heart is big enough to love again without betraying the love I had before." Emma was crying now, tears freezing on her cheeks in the cold air. "Will you marry me, Emma? Will you be my wife and the mother to my children that you already are in your heart?" "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, yes, yes." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, Emma felt the last piece of her broken heart click into place. She wasn't incomplete. She was exactly what this family needed, and they were exactly what she needed. 1 year later, Emma stood in the doorway of the schoolhouse, watching her husband teach Jake how to repair a fence while the other children played in the yard. Her wedding ring caught the sunlight, and she smiled at the memory of their simple ceremony 6 months ago, with all 6 children standing as their wedding party. "Mrs. Harrison?" Lily's voice came from behind her. Emma turned to find her youngest daughter holding a handful of wildflowers. "Yes, sweetheart. I picked these for you. They're for being the best mama in the world." Emma knelt down and accepted the flowers, her heart full to bursting. "Thank you, Lily. You know what?" "What?" "I think you were right that day you said God made sure I couldn't have babies, so I would come here to love you instead." Lily grinned. "I'm always right about the important stuff." Emma laughed and pulled her daughter into a hug. "Yes, you are." As she looked out at her family, because that's what they were now, truly and completely, Emma thought about the banker who had rejected her for being incomplete. He had been wrong about so many things, but mostly about this. The most beautiful families weren't always born. Sometimes they were chosen, built with love and patience and the courage to believe in second chances. Cole caught her eye across the yard and smiled, and Emma smiled back, knowing that she had found her miracle after all. Not in the form she had expected, but in the form she needed. Sometimes the most perfect love stories weren't about finding someone who completed you. They were about finding someone who helped you realize you were already complete. And sometimes, the greatest mothers were indeed chosen by the heart, not the body. If you like this story, leave your opinion in the comments and, of course, leave a like and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Big hug and see you soon.